Hello everybody, welcome back. Now I'm going to discuss about events and business. Servlet listeners are similar to AWT event handling. In Servlet API, listeners are included in Servlet 2.4 API, and by using these listeners, we can develop some kind of interactive web applications. That is, in the web application programming, it is not mandatory to receive the events by creating the listener classes. If we create listener class, we can able to provide some kind of logic to execute only when the event occurs. In web application programming, web container is responsible for generating events and servlet programmer is responsible for receiving the event by creating a listener. Web container generates events only for specific web objects. That is for servlet context object, for HTTP session object and servlet request object. In Servlet 2.4, we got listeners to receive the event notifications generated by container. To create a listener, we need to implement our class from listener interface. Events are classes, whereas listeners are interfaces. So there are many event classes and listener interfaces in Java X.Servlet and Java X.Servlet.http package. Now, what are those event classes? Servlet request event, servlet context event, servlet request attribute event, servlet context attribute event, HTTP session event, HTTP session binding event, and so these are the event classes. And what are the event interfaces we are having? Servlet request listener, servlet request attribute listener, servlet context listener, servlet context attribute listener, HTTP session listener, HTTP session attribute listener, HTTP session binding listener, HTTP session activation listener. So this is about events and listeners. Hope you understood this topic. So I'll stop here. I'll continue in the next class.